Hello, I'm FX Toycat, and welcome back to the episode of the Minecraft Bedrock Update Adventures Let's Play. And I have a big problem in this world, and it's not that I live in a cave, instead it's to do with the resources that I store in my beautiful cave house, because this is the amount of gravel I have. It's not just a double chest, it's a double chest with multiple extra shulker boxes full of gravel. Then I have the same problem of mining for so many diamonds that I've ended up with enough coal deep slate, not just to fill multiple double chests, so many of them, but also to fill multiple shulker boxes on top of this. Obviously, I'm not using this cobbled deep slate right now, which presents me with a real problem. All of this cobbled deep slate is just going to start filling up chests until the end of time, unless I can come up with something that uses these gravel and these cobbled deep slate in a build together. I was thinking of doing an RNG-based challenge where I use the random word generator and try to build precisely that, but I think we could do something a bit more sophisticated and maybe use AI. Everyone knows AI is very good at spitting out random things, and ChatGPT in particular is really disconnected from the internet, having last been connected in 2021, I believe. However, Google Bard is the Google version of the same thing, which I just got invited to, and interestingly enough, because it's obviously done by Google, they're very big on using Google search, and so it will work in the present day, meaning I can ask it something like this. I would like to build something in Minecraft out of deep slate and gravel. What should it be? Here are some ideas for what you can build in Minecraft out of deep slate and gravel. A mineshaft. A mineshaft is a classic Minecraft build, and deep slate would be a great material to use for it. You can make it look like a real mineshaft by using gravel to create the rubble and debris that would be found in a collapsed mine. Whoa, that looks pretty cool. It doesn't look like a mineshaft to me, but it's cool that there's an image. A bridge. A bridge is a great way to cross a chasm or river, and deep slate would be a sturdy and stylish material to use. You can make it look like a natural bridge by using gravel to create the rocks and boulders that would support it. Oh, I like that one too, huh? This looks pretty good, but it's way too small of a bridge to use up the amount of deep slate that we're talking about, so how about a house? Deep slate is a versatile material that can be used to create a variety of different houses. You could make it look like a modern house by using smooth deep slate, or make it look like a rustic house by using cobbled deep slate. Honestly, a rustic house sounds fun, but do I need another house? I'm not so sure, so maybe instead the last idea here is a sculpture. Wait, no, the last idea is a garden. Deep slate could be used to create a variety of different garden features, such as pathways, walls, and fountains. You could also use gravel to create a gravel garden, which would be a unique and eye-catching addition to your Minecraft world. Wait, I didn't see that last time. Why? How can you make a garden out of deep slate and gravel and is that what we have to do right now? Okay then, well, here we go, I guess. Okay, even before we've turned on the water, this looks really cool, and after we do it, it should look even better. Oh yeah, look at that. Isn't that a nice addition to a garden? Isn't my garden so much nicer? The answer is of course yes, but with one brutal flaw, which is that even if I surround this with so much gravel on every single side, the truth is we're not coming anywhere near using shulker boxes full of the stuff, and so maybe we need to revisit the idea list and, actually no, we just need to build a bigger garden. Okay, no matter how big I try to expand this, I'm never going to end up using enough gravel or deep slate to make this make any sense. A garden is a fun idea, and you should totally make one, but we're going to need to go back to the idea list and go for that actual last idea, because I should build a sculpture. Deep slate is a good material for carving sculptures. You could use it to create a statue of a Minecraft mob, or you could use your imagination to create something more abstract. Obviously, the goal of this challenge is not to use my imagination, and so let's build a Minecraft mob. I think this pony or horse they've made right here is good, but what if we could build something better? Well, I feel like there is a mob I've wanted to make a giant statue of for a little bit anyway, because I've had this idea forever of making a wither skeleton farm. I've never had one before, and I just like the idea of having an insane number of wither skeleton skulls, honestly, so I was thinking to myself, why don't I farm those? But before you make a farm, it's important to have the big builds that lead you to one. I mean, what's the point of farming if you're just gonna have it in a big ugly place, which is why this right here, this big empty, oh god, what has happened to me? This big empty pit right here seems like the perfect location for a giant statue. It's literally only used by lava and this big glass area right here, meaning there is perfect real estate for a giant statue of a wither skeleton, which also sounds like a good way to use a ton of gravel and deep slate. Actually, deep slate makes sense. I don't know how we're going to use the gravel. I mean, I guess we could do the logical thing and use it to fill in the lava, because obviously we can't stand in lava, but maybe, just maybe, if we place enough of this in there, we can. Also, why does that Strider have a saddle on? Did I saddle a strider at some point and then forget? Anyway, so as you can see, we just drop enough gravel in here, and eventually the gravel we drop stops falling onto lava and becomes lava, or rather replaces the lava, just like so. This then allows us to make a big base under which we can have our big wither skeleton. We need to be careful about where we build it actually because of the ceiling, so this could be like the forwards, front, right kind of base of it, and then we could place more blocks from there. But before we do that, here's an important pro tip. When building in the Nether, you can take whatever precautions you like, but the truth is the Nether is a dangerous place, as I discussed in my ultimate guide this week, and although honestly you can survive just about anything if you've got the right feelings and thoughts and the right ability to get yourself out of danger, I think the important thing in life and in Minecraft, as I've definitely discovered this week for life, is not to put yourself in certain ridiculously dangerous situations to begin with. So let's go home and let's get the basic 2 ingredients for preparation. The Totem of Undying is of course a must when building with large amounts of resources in the Nether, because even if you don't care about your own life, and you probably should, all of your stuff dying is a very big deal when working with, what is this, 5 shulker boxes. So we're not just talking about the amount of shulker shells you have to get, but we're also talking about 1,700 building ingredients, which took me a long time to mine or gather for each of these. We can't afford to lose that, so the Totem of Undying is the perfect failsafe. I try not to use it in most of my Minecraft world, because it removes some of the fun and the suspense and actually learning about Minecraft you need to do, but for the Nether, it's important to have as the failsafe. But my front safe, my not using the totem safe, is actually to just bring a fire resistance potion with me. Maybe we could bring a longer one or a shorter one. Let's take a 3-minute fire resistance potion, and this will be on my hotbar at all times as my emergency. Oh dear god, I am going to die or activate my totem if I don't drink this now. I think this is the must by itself, but if you want to have a backup, as we probably should, the totem is a good version of that. So let's go build a statue. So I'm presented with a bit of a fun dilemma. I'm all the way up here, and the safe space where I want to actually start building is all the way down there. How do I get down there safely? Well, there's a couple of ways, and the most dangerous, but also most fun way, is just to drop down on an elytra, and oh dear god, this is why you bring a fire resistance potion with you. As you can see, that is the most fun way to get down here. I also feel like we could have slowly made a ladder down, or we could have slowly placed some blocks on the side of that. This works perfectly fine though, for my liking. So, yeah, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a nice gravel platform. This might seem like the best way to do it is to place all of these like the previous one, but once you've made one pillar of gravel, you can kind of cheat for the rest. Here is my little pro tip. All you need to do to have a gravel block on the surface and make it look like a pillar is to place one of these just below the surface, then place some gravel on top of it. So just over there, and then just up here. It takes a couple of blocks. We could really do it in one, but oh dear god. Okay, I am not emotionally prepared for this. This is why you need a Totem of Undying sometimes, because there's a lot of scary things in the Nether, and they all kind of want you dead, and that's a big problem. Definitely bring, oh no, that's gonna make it worse, right? Okay, so the good news is the magma cubes are now trapped below the lava, which is a thing I'm going to take full advantage of while placing my gravel, because I want a nice gravel platform under which all of my deep slate will be placed. So I think 10 by 10 is a reasonable start. We can always expand it out from there, but let's do precisely that right now. Place some deep slate, then place some gravel. And just like that, we've got a lovely square of gravel chilling in a place where I believe we can just about make a wither skeleton. Although, you know, you could argue we could have like 2 bases for it and have like 1 for each of the feet, or just a mega base on which both feet could rest. That also seems like a good idea, and in that case, we're going to need to fill this in regardless. So there is a lot of polished deep slate placing to be done, and it is very rhythmic. I'm sure you could tell from the placing we just did there. It's pretty nice, the order you have to do this. It's a calming activity, which is something you don't get to say very often when you're surrounded on this big of a layer by literal lava, deadly mobs that want to kill you and all the like, but it's surprisingly calm and pleasant if you just get things right, which is surprisingly not that hard to do. Also, the more you place, the more you realize there are only really blocks you can place down at this level, and the more you can kind of just like go for it and believe in yourself, and worst case, you lose a few blocks to lava, but that's actually solving my problem for me, and boom, now we can place the whole row of gravel next to each other. This is what I like about Minecraft sometimes, is like, sometimes building is just like who is willing to spend hours placing some blocks so they built a thing. I always like when I'm learning something at least a little bit new about how to build something. Like, I feel like building techniques shouldn't necessarily all be artistic things, which is, fine if that's what you do like to learn. I do have to say, I think it's fun when you learn how to actually build actively something new in Minecraft. Like, how do you build on a layer of floating lava without just using fire resistance potions? This is apparently a valid tactic, and I really like that. Okay, I've been going at this for a while, and I think I've now worked out the best way to do this. You target the block up here, and then just go down until you can't see that targeting anymore. Apparently, that didn't work for some reason, but because there's a block there already. You go down, and you keep targeting until there's nothing left to target on the main block. So, if we remove this, for example, we can see there's a gap there. We target this block, go downwards, and then there is how we can place a block that we can place some gravel on top of. Over here, there's also one missing, so we target this gravel block till it goes away, then place that there, and the exact same thing seems to work. And given that there are, also, we can't actually pick block any cobble deep slate because we're all out. Wow, okay, that's a good sign. We're doing really well because we're starting to dig into the shulker boxes, which I can't leave exposed right now because we're in the nether, but that's a good sign. We look over there, we place a block, and if there's anything, we just keep on following it if we really want to. If you tried to do it below the ground, you're going to end up placing some blocks in the sky just by pure chance eventually, but now we fill those in using our gravel like so, and boom, everything is wonderful. That is how we make a platform. So a few of these don't have anything on them just yet, which is what we need to now, conclude and work out right now. Okay, we're out of there. So things are a little bit spicy. I think that's fair to say. But yeah, always having access to an elytra or a fire resistance potion or a totem, or ideally all three, means that you should be more than just fine for these. Am I recommending you build in the nether right now? Not necessarily, but it is certainly a fun time, right? You're gonna have a lot of interesting moments when you choose to do this, because boom, that is now a square on which I could build a wither skeleton. I mean, it'd be really easy to build like a small scale one if I just wanted to use 10 blocks, like, look at this, I place some blocks here, I place some blocks here, I connect them up, I have a little skeletal thing going over the side, and yeah, this is my wither skeleton, and it looks very good. I do know that. But in the meantime, I think it's worth saying we do need a bigger platform because we want to have 2 legs to this wither skeleton, and this platform currently only really allows me to do 1 leg over here of like 3x3, another one over here 3x3, maybe 4x4 each, but I need to have a lot more of both, right? So let's place some more deep slate and gravel. Where did that come from? Also, why did it destroy just the gravel? Oh wait, I understand why it destroyed just the gravel. So that's kind of fun that the middle blocks of gravel can be destroyed with no consequences. And also, we now understand that we want much more width than we want depth. So we'll go as far this way as reasonably makes sense, so we can make the widest possible wither skeleton. Okay, my gravel patch is now complete, and I do have to say, by the way, you could have a really good time, like, slowly covering the nether in something like this, because you could remove one of the biggest hazards from it, which is the lava. But anyway, it's time for me to improve my statue, because although it is basically perfect right now, it obviously could do with an upgrade, so we'll start from the very far side here, making sure we're centered, making a big wither skeleton leg. So based on the number of blocks we have right now, this is the right number, 5, which means we go 5 by 5. We'll confirm this actually looks fine, so we'll have like a little gap, 1, 2, 3 over there seems about right, and then 5 blocks over here. That should be, yeah, that's now going to be symmetrical on both sides. We could always make something else symmetrical later, but if you're working on something, it makes sense to work on that first. These are going to be the wither skeleton's legs. Do you think that looks fine? 5 blocks of a 3 block wide gap? I think it could. It obviously depends on how high we go for this, but that's something we're going to work out as we go. So now we can, avoid being blasted to death. Now we're going to work on the real fun bit, which is using a lot of deep slate. In fact, so much deep slate that I'm going to need to work out a place to store my deep slate while I work with it. So here is the fun thing, right? I'm going to now take a bunch of polished deep slate, which didn't work for some reason. Going to make a bunch of polished deep slate, and then I'm going to make a small little bunker inside here to keep my shulker boxes safe. This is crucially important when working on basically anything, is that if your shulker boxes get blown up, then it doesn't matter what else you're doing. And so by making a little secure base in the foot of this, we can now keep my cobbled deep slate in a nice, easy to access place, which is right over here, and we can slowly empty this out as I intend to do. So we're going to be doing it right over there, but also on this side going nice and high up. And this gives me a good opportunity to do something that a lot of people are curious about, which is obviously the Let's Play is not just the weekly update as to what I'm doing in my Let's Play world, and indeed life, the universe, and everything else. But also, it's the closest thing we have to like a vlog series on this channel. People are curious what's going on in in the day of Toy Cat, and honestly, some weeks I feel like, especially during the pandemic, it's like, yep, I worked on videos this week, which is kind of a weird thing. Like, I do think working hard is important, but also there is an argument that if your job is the only thing you're doing a disservice not just to your job, but to your life. So I try to do interesting things sometimes, just as like I think it's more fulfilling as a life, but also hopefully is better as a work thing. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I've got my priorities all wrong, and I should really, rather than living to work, you should work to live, or whatever people like to say. But basically, I went and had one of the worst days of my life. I was sure while it was happening that I was either going to die, or this was going to be one of those memories I look back on, and I was going to be like, yep, that was the worst day that I just regret doing. I had such a bad chain of events happen, like event after event after event, bad thing after bad thing, after poor timing, after unfortunate circumstances, after does the world really work like that? I had just this situation happen time and time and over again, and it really, really, really wore on me. Also, I think we have some random gravel strains going through the wither skeleton's legs, just to add a little bit of texture in there, right? Like just a little bit of something. Give him some kneecaps, maybe, I guess. Yeah, wither skeletons have kneecaps, right? So we'll just give him a little bit of a kneecap. It'll be 3 high there, and the rest will be 1 high. But yeah, I guess we could have the rest be 1 high besides the back here, which will then have a tiny bit of 0 high, just to mix things up, I guess. But yeah, so I had a really terrifying week, to be totally honest with you, and I think it'd be fun to like share that, because honestly, one of the most comforting things about it is I had one of the worst days of my life, but I was with a couple of friends, and honestly, I think I learned for the first time in my life that, like, really having good people around you during bad circumstances makes such a world of difference. Like, have you ever been around someone who starts to, like, catastrophize and immediately be like, okay, this is the worst thing ever, you're literally, it's all going down and it's ending, and I've been around people like that a lot, and it adds to my stress level so much. There are people in the world who are just, who enjoy being sources of like extra stress and pain. It feels like that way, at least. I'm sure they don't actually, but it's like a crazy thing to experience. And so I had this weekend I decided to go and climb a mountain, one of the tallest, the tallest in the country of which it was located. I went to Ireland, if you're curious, and it's weird because, like over there, the way that like trails are done is basically much more like, yeah, there's just a vague place people walk. It's all private land. I find national parks across countries to be interesting, but unlike national parks in, say, I know, the United States or Canada, where it means it's like protected nature, national parks are just like, yeah, these are places you can go, but it's still private land owned by private individuals. And an interesting difference that makes, in my humble opinion, is, so now we're gonna just build this up, I guess. I'm gonna go get some more blocks first, actually. But one of the interesting differences that makes is that, like, they basically had a ton of warnings just being like, yeah, if it gets bad, maybe you should turn back, or like if it starts raining, just know it gets really dangerous and bad. And it's like, how bad can it really get, was my kind of response. But the thing is, it was a really sunny day against all weather expectations, and it was great. We saw a lot of people coming down. Everyone's doing wonderfully. And so I don't know, the TLDR version of this is it started raining just as we were coming into a waterfall anyway, and we're like, well, we're already wet, so we might as well like see when the rain stops. And it looked like it was going to, and we're going to be great, and everything was going to be wonderful. But just after making it to the top, it started raining again, and so not only does that mean I'm soaking wet. By the way, I've never climbed a waterfall before this week. It is one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. Like, it seems like an impossible thing, but actually, yeah, you can climb. I mean, I guess you can climb anything if you believe in yourself, but you can climb through a, I think it might be called like a gully or something. You can climb through surprising circumstances if there are rocks below the water, and there almost always is rocks below the water. So I climbed through a waterfall this week, and everything went well until it rained on the way down. Going down a waterfall, a lot scarier than going up, it has to be said, but, I feel like basically every circumstance I was ready for, but the one I wasn't ready for is the fact that it started to get dark before we were like, while we were like kind of off the trail by accident solely, like, because as light loop gets away, you start to lose your bearings on things, and so I had this thing of just like desperately trying to find the way back, but just continuously ending up like trapped in the mud and like my shoes coming off, etc. Really rough like combination of things. And long story short, what happened is I called someone from the mountain, like just asking for advice, like, hey, where do we go? And they're like, here's this web link, open it in your app, we'll give you from the GPS coordinates, we can help you out. And I was like, great, okay, got this is gonna be wonderful. And so yeah, that's exactly what happened. And you know, all of the terrible things that happened of like being starving because it's like 10 p.m. and I haven't eaten. You know, I realized the valuable lesson of like I overpacked snacks the last time I did something. I was like, okay, I'm gonna underpack snacks this time because obviously I used too many. That was not smart. Being starving and in the dark and in the rain and desperately getting trapped in mud and falling, and it was like a really rough like climb by itself. But what happened afterwards was so after being wet for all day, I'm convinced, I've always been told this, like, I don't know if it's a myth or a real thing, but my mother would always say, like, oh, you're so wet, you need to dry off immediately or you'll catch pneumonia. You know, first of all, you ever looked at the way pneumonia is spelt? What's that P doing there, first of all? But second of all, yeah, it was one of those, like, really terrifying things to me for that reason, mostly, honestly. Like, oh yeah, this is a thing that kills you, and I can't physically dry off because I'm on a wet mountain. And it looks like I can't even find my way back. So, eventually, after we do make our way back to the town, I had an online booking for a hotel that I was, like, most of the way through, but then my phone dies, it's a whole thing. And there's, like, a bunch of hotels around the area. They're slightly more expensive, but they're all available, so I'm like, okay. We just go into this hotel that I was booking online, and we just say nicely, oh, sorry, my booking failed. Could you let us finish it in person, or could you let me use the charger? And I was like, so one of the first hotels we go to, there's a guy who shows up after like 5 minutes of, like you ring the door, then you wait. After 5 minutes, he's like, oh yes, hello, what is your room number? And I'm like, oh yeah, I was trying to book online and it kind of failed. And he's like, oh yeah, no, you can't book in person, that's not like my job. And it's like, yeah, but I really need to, can you let me just in to charge my phone? He's like, no, we do not do that here. And I was like, what do you mean you do not do that here? Like, it was the most ridiculous thing, but I was like, okay, that's a one-off hotel experience. It's 11:30 and I really want to sleep. It's been a long day. I managed to, I got like a kebab place to, you know, give me food, thankfully, but I'm just desperately in need for some sleep. And the wild thing that kind of happens from this is like going from hotel to hotel, they all have a different story, but it's all coming to the same, like, we couldn't give you a room even if we wanted to. Sorry, 1000% full. And it's weird because this probably does happen quite a lot of times of the year. Like, oh yeah, it's really full at a hotel. Hotels obviously build themselves ideally to sell 100% of the things every night, but going to every hotel, not just in the area, not just in the city and the surrounding areas, but like across, going like an hour and a half away to a different city that obviously doesn't have the same seasonal demand, and everywhere there is like, either we can't let you check in at this hour of the night, wait till 7:30 a.m. if you want to check in, or oh sorry, yeah, we're 100% full, there's just zero way to get in here. And it's wild not knowing, like, what is the correct set of words to be able to say for, like, I can book your hotel online, I know that, I can see that, please let me just book it in person. I know that you're, like, overnight staff, so you're not as, like, you know, you're not trained in the thing, but please, whatever you gotta do you need me to give you a bunch of cash? What is it that I need to sleep in this room? And so it comes 4 a.m., like, 4 hours of looking through hotels, and it's like, no one, it's still just going nowhere. I'm, like, broken from how cold and tired and desperate everything is. But again, the crazy thing to me is like, this is the moment where like a lot of people, like a lot of friend groups will turn on each other for less. Like, you ever see like something goes wrong and someone just immediately is like, I don't know, looking for blood, looking for drama, like, this is all your fault, you totally did this. Because to be fair to me, like, you know, I kind of planned the trip. I was like, okay, we'll book a hotel based on where we are at the time of night that we're doing that, so we can head towards where we need to. Like, it's, you know, like booking a hotel on the road, it's not an unfamiliar concept. It's something I've done many times before. And so rather than like it being like yeah, this is you, man, you screwed us all kind of moment, I thought it was pretty chill that like no one there was doing that. In fact, no one was like, oh, it was your fault for being slow down the mountain. Like, I wasn't the slow one, but like no one jumped at anyone's throat to be, you know, to say stuff like that, right? Which I thought was like one of the cool things. And then it became, I think the cool thing about that is rather than making it adversarial, rather than it being like, man, this person has killed us all, it becomes, man, first of all, isn't the system so dumb? Why is there not a single hotel that's just like, okay, you give me some money, slip it in here, give me a credit card to guarantee you'll be here, we'll give you a room now, and you can work it out in the morning. Like, why? You know, the fact that no hotels are willing to do something like that blows my mind. Like, what, you know, like, it's crazy because I could have booked online at these hotels, so they could have had a room for me, but yet they can't. Why isn't a single hotel willing to say, look, it's 4 a.m. and I can see your situation, how bad it must be. come in and use our charger and stay somewhere warm for a little bit. Like, it's been it was a crazy, like, awakening on that level. By the way, this is now the hips of the Wither Skeleton. Wither Skeletons obviously have very, very large hips, so we might be doing it under justice like that. We might want to go another block out, but I think, you know, yeah, let's go one more block out. Let's make an extra wide Wither Skeleton, because, you know, there's nothing else going on in this layer, and then we'll build up a few blocks, and this can, oh god, this can be the hips. That was a mistake, I think. I'm looking forward to the next update where they fix the Elytra, because as fun as it is to fly when you want to, magically vanishing through the floor and creative sucking, two big downsides, I have to say. But anyway, yeah, my long story short here is to say, I went through this absolutely, like, disastrous time where I needed something so bad, and I was like, look, I usually have, like, a budget in my mind, which is, like, around about, like, $100 a night. Anything more, or, like, £100 a night, so, like, $120 or so, I guess it would be. It's like any hotel more expensive than that is a luxury purchase that you can treat yourself to if you're like, you know, you really want to have a real nice stay. But, like, there's no point in spending that much on a bed. Like, I'd rather just sleep in a hallway somewhere or something like that. But I was like, look, okay, I'm suspending my own emotional rule on myself. I will just pay whatever it takes to be in a place where I can be warm again, where I can have a shower. I needed one so bad. I've been obviously climbing a mountain for like 10, 11 hours, getting right off a long haul flight, right off the morning. My phone has died. It's really unpleasant. You know, it's like a real bad set of events. I just want it to all be okay. And, you know, the crazy thing is like, I'm in a car, right? And so usually car has power. But it only had USB-C chargers. It had not a single USB-A one. I feel like it's actually quite common for modern day, you know, high-tech stuff to do that. But there wasn't a wireless charger anywhere in the car. There wasn't a single USB-A port. There was just like 6 USB-C ports all over that car. It was the dumbest thing. And just what I'm saying here is I had the worst time. There was a lot of bad events stacking up, right? Like, having a extra long mountain climb because of extra long weather, because of extra darkness, having to like call and get assistance and have to, you know, really get deep and lost, and actually having someone actually come and help in the end. Like, it got like that level of late. It was like 11 something PM, and we're like genuinely not even sure where the path is, let alone where things are. But all of that stuff happens, and it was a reminder to me about, one, preparations. Like, I mean, like, everything that you plan for that has a 1% chance of happening, even though it seems like it's dumb because it's a 1% chance of happening. Like, what's the point of bringing extra food when 99% of the time you don't need it? I think, oh damn, that went right through it. I feel like that should have counted, by the way. The answer is, well, the 1% of the time you really need the extra food, it's really, really bad. I've had this theory for a while, I want to share it right now, that the right amount of food for a party is too much food, or the right amount of food for any social gathering is almost always going to be too much food. And the reason I have that theory, we're going to make a little bit of gravel down here, by the way, to kind of simulate another joint. The reason I think that theory is true is because no one wants to go for the last bit of food. Like, no one wants to be like, grab the last slice of pizza. So you need enough slices of pizza that anyone who's hungry enough to want more pizza doesn't have to grab the last slice. Like, if you have a last slice left, or, you know, I guess if you have, like, polite enough friends to know that they can take it, that's fine. But in general, I feel like no one wants to go for the last bit of food. As food supplies dwindle, people kind of naturally limit themselves. So you want enough food that you're never, like, limiting yourself on that level. Also, I think we might want to go a block further back for the backbone here, because the Wither Skeleton now is just like a lot of nothing happening back here. We might want to do it as a 3x3 actually, or at least a 2x2, or 3x2. Yeah, 3x2 backbone for this makes a lot of sense. We've got enough polished deep slate that I have no qualms about doing this either. So let's go ahead, grab the 4 stacks of cobbled deep slate we have, and can I pick this up? I cannot. That is a big concern. Okay, so we'll make some of this into polished deep slate, combine those stacks, and there we go. Just don't want to have that be left out while there's ghast attacking me, you know? Feels like a bad idea. Feels like a very bad idea. But yeah, as I was saying, a lot of, like, contingency plans aren't because it's like, oh yeah, we think this is so likely to happen. It's just how bad something goes if it doesn't happen. Like, something I always think is important is having some way to, you know, some GPS device. Like, even if you have to pay £6 to use the internet in a foreign country, having a way to access the internet or calls is a really, really big deal on the off chance you need to make an emergency one, right? Having the ability to access the internet for a really important Google, like, I was bit by a snake that is yellow and black, what do I do now? Or even, here's an important one actually, this is one that I've learned from before, like, always take a picture of any snake you see, if it's, if it bites you especially. But if you think a snake is gonna bite you, take a picture. Worst case, it's a cool picture of a snake you've got. But yeah, if you are bit by a snake, some antivenoms for some snakes will kill you if you take them for the wrong type of snake. So just having a photo you can show the hospital people. They'll be like, oh yeah, don't give him this one, that would kill him. Give him this one instead. That's an important thing to have as a person, I feel like. The ability to not die is one I really do oh, I just made coarse dirt. Oof. That's something I really value personally, and you might value it as well. So now we're gonna have the torso kind of come out from this. I think it's like a set of ribs, so we'll have the ribs come like round like this and back into the center. I don't know what... I've never actually had ribs. Fun fact, I'm a ribless man. I have no torso. So I don't actually know how this works. I've not seen the wither skeleton inside of me, but I'm hoping it works like so. So an extra block out here, and then out to the side. This is what ribs look like, I'm pretty sure. And then from here, we have like another set, maybe a little higher up. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We'll have like another set, another few blocks up, so 3 high here. And then that final set will be extra featured, I guess. So leave it another couple blocks and then let's go. Is this a good thing? I don't honestly know. It's just something I'm having some fun with, and it will hopefully look real good when we're done. So this is another set of ribs. These ribs can go kind of like inward at the same time. That should do something kind of cool, I hope. And now we do the same, but on the other side. Oh, did we make a mistake here? No, we didn't. We're great. So yeah, I had one of the worst days of my life. Just bad thing after bad thing after bad thing. So here's, but like the end conclusion was like, okay, I wanted to stay here I was going to stay in a hotel for the night, then the next morning, like, explore some island without having to climb a mountain. I was like, okay, here's the deal. I'm just going to change and get the soonest flight out here. I can't stay in or anywhere. Like, I tried to stay at airport hotels. I called hotels hours away, and they were all like, we cannot accommodate your booking until the morning, sorry. And it was the most, like, ridiculous thing. Like, after, like, trying all of that stuff, managing to get a phone, all the steps I had to go through. But the weirdest thing about it was that then finally I decided, okay, I want to get home right now. I've got a rental car, I can return this at this place at 5:30, and I can get the earliest flight at 7 a.m. It costs like about as much as a hotel to get an earlier flight, but then I'll be home and at least the pain will stop, right? But here's the thing that like really like drove me into like broken overdrive. Is so I get to the hotel, I get to the airport at 5:30. The flight is at like 7:45 or something. Also, I'm not sure what to do above this. Do we just go a few blocks higher than build ahead? Yeah, I guess that's what we'll do. Then we also want to have some arms coming off the side here, I guess. Are they going to come off the side of the... Yeah, I guess they'll come off the side of just above the torso, maybe. So we'll have like... These can be the arm nublets over here, I guess, logically. I don't know what we're going to do about the arms. We'll work that out when we get there. But for now, let's have the head. But yeah, so the thing about... the weird thing about that is I was finally like, okay, this has been a situation from hell. I'm just going to get the earliest flight out here. It'll mean I'll have a whole night without sleep, 7 a.m. It means I'll be at my home by like 11 a.m. But at least that's a plan to have somewhere to sleep, as opposed to hope that a hotel will actually book me in at 7:30 maybe, and then have to catch a flight, you know, the next afternoon anyway. So I finally decide like, okay, we're willing to do this. I see, I booked my flight of Ryanair. I see that, like, okay, here's the way it works. If you pay a certain change fee and a fair difference, you can change your flight. And it was gonna be a lot, but I was finally ready to do it. It says that you can you don't have to pay the early check-in fee as long as you do it at least 2 hours before departure. So I get there 2 hours and 10 minutes before the flight. The new flight is about to leave, and the funniest thing happened. The funniest thing in my I swear this is my funniest. Absolutely hilarious situation. It's the best thing that's ever happened. So what happens? This hilarious situation that I enjoyed was that the app says, oh, sorry, actually, because it's less than 2.5 hours before departure, you have to do this via our call center or via a in-person ticket office. And so I go into the airport and I try to change the flight at the in-person ticket office, or like the check-in desk. They're like, we don't work for Ryanair. The ticket desk is over there, but they actually left the airport, you know, several months ago. So, and I was like, oh, so I guess I have to call, right? And I tried to call, and they're like, sorry, the call center opens at 9, you know, my 7:30 a.m. flight. And it's like, surely there is a call center somewhere in Europe open. So I try a bunch of call centers all across Europe, Hungary, Ireland, like wherever else I have to try. Every single one of them is like, sorry, we open at 9 a.m. And because none of the, like there's no local time where it worked out, I tried thinking like, what if I call like a Russian call center? They're like 3 hours ahead, so maybe I could get it done in time if they spoke English. Like there was a way to make it work. But sadly, there is no way to change your flight before 9 a.m. if you need to do it. That's just the rule. If you are 2 hours before a flight and it's before 9 a.m., even though I was willing to give them a lot of money, this is the kind of theme. Like, even if you have the money, you have all the goods, you have all the things you need, sometimes a company policy leaves you out in the dry, and so I had to just, I hung out at the airport for hours. I tried to turn it into a positive. I was like, look, let's just treat this as a no-sleep night. Let's go driving to the beach. And so I drove to the beach, halfway through got real tired and was like, okay, I'm just going to pull over into a random pub parking lot and sleep for an hour. It was a very, very weird trip, but yeah, the whole thing felt real rough. And at the time I was like, this is the worst. I've never had to deal with something so obtuse and ridiculous as some, like, hotel policies that are like, sorry, we would let you book online, but we won't let you book in person. And also, we don't want you using our electricity if you're not a guest, because of which you can't, and you can't be a guest without booking online, which you'd need electricity to be able to do. So step one was that, and then step two was like, oh yeah, there is a, Ryanair is an airline that's famous for fees. I could understand being like, oh yeah, here's the fee for not doing it online or using an agent or something. I can understand that just about, right? But what I can't understand is like, we don't let people pay that fee unless it's the right time of day. At which point it's just saying, yeah, we don't get to go home and enjoy anything. We are doomed to be at the airport because of some weird rule about it has to be done at a call center. And it just broke me. It was like, why? Of all the airlines, like, because here's the funny thing, even finding the Ryanair call center number, they're one of these companies that really don't want you to call. They're like, please do this online, you idiots. That costs us no money, whereas when you call a person, we have to pay that person an hourly wage. So they're one of those companies that hides their number really well. Like, it takes a lot of work to find their number, but then also requires you to use it. It's one of those, I don't know if it's like a regulatory requirement. I don't know if they were just laughing at my misfortune. But I had one of these like really bad days as a result. But again, the lesson from it, maybe I'm too much of an optimist. I tried to see, first of all, when I was in the bad situation, I was annoyed, but I was thinking, what's the next plan the whole way through? Like, we spent all night working on a solution. I even asked the hotel at one point, like, okay, if you reckon everywhere's fully booked, air quotes, because what a few places would say, yeah, we're fully booked, and I asked why, they're like, oh, I don't know, it just seems to be that way. And I was like, okay, is there like a homeless shelter you know of? Where does a man get a shower? I looked into gyms, but like the west of Ireland is very lowly populated, so there aren't major hotel chains, or there's nowhere where you can just pay to go in for a shower even and then like sleep on the ground somewhere. Like I looked at every dumb potential option and concluded, like, that's the wild thing to me, is like going for all of that. But I also think, okay, by the way, look at it. Do you like okay, that head is way disproportionate to the body, right? Can we agree we might need to fix that? I kind of don't want to fix that. Now that I see it, honestly, right? I don't know if I want to fix that. I think that looks great the way it is. The rib cage definitely needs more work, though. I think the ribs are way too small. So I think the top rib, yeah, we'll add another rib down at the bottom that looks like the middle one, and then we'll make the bottom one the middle one, the top one that kind of middle one into the top one, and then that top one we'll just leave however it is. So yeah, let's go back through and do that. It's gonna be a little tricky to do, but we'll get it done, I think, is the important bit. So yeah, about midway between that and the ground, we'll have a little nub. I think even the nub should be wider than I've done there, just something more substantial. Then we need to column ourselves up, which I'll just fly into. I think ultimately, like, using stacks of gravel for this is a smart idea. Although, I guess we're going to just do that, you know what? And now we'll go a little bit further out for these ones. Maybe even a little bit wider, right? Like, we can go almost the full length of the thing, and it'll be fine. Maybe have it, like, jut out the tiniest bit at the end here. Like, I think that would be fine. And then let's come through on the other side for this. So this just happens to be the easiest way across. Break some blocks. Place them again. Wow, look, using 6 more deep slate. And then we'll try the exact same thing we just did, but over here. So it's 3 blocks, 4 blocks maybe? 1, 2, 3. And then it's the little nub that comes at the end. just some form of something, and now we can make this one much more substantial. This is not a good idea, but I'm gonna do it anyway. What if we made it go all the way out and have like a second rib? That's not how ribs look, but maybe we could believe that ribs look that way, and then they would start to look that way. So there we go. Let's do that, and we should have totally done it on the other side. Well, we still could have, but I didn't, and oh, see, thank God for that weird electric glitch, just saved my plan. And now we do the same over here. We jump on top, we place a couple of blocks, a couple more blocks, a couple more blocks, and then we have another weird riblet thing. I guess we could make this first riblet, like, way shorter, like a little... Yeah, I think that might be the money move, actually. Let's make the second one shorter and only one wide. And then, okay, hello, Ghast, how are you doing? You having a good time? Thank you for showing up and ruining my party. But yeah, I think when you're encountered with bad things, you're in, like, the instinct to turn it into this is the worst thing and just being mad is such a useless one that you just can't have. It's the same as, like, you know, like, if I was mad that it rained climbing down the mountain, what is that going to help me with? Instead, it's just like, okay, so this is going to affect my climb down time. I've got to move a bit faster when it's safe to do so, and really take more caution when it doesn't feel safe to do so. Like, that's the, that's the kind of, like, also, we're going to make this way bigger, I think. Even just one extra block in every direction would make a real big difference. So let's start with that as our base and see where that takes us. But yeah, the basic idea of, like, trying to be an optimist, or at least be a problem solver, is something that I've always valued, and I don't know if I always assume I can have. Like, there are some things that just break me, where it's like, how can I even problem solve this? There is no problem to be solved. There's just a really annoying thing. Like, I've spoken about, like, debt collection agencies and all sorts of weird situations. I don't know, like, there are problems you just cannot solve. You can either hope, or you can have a little bit of passive rage about. And I think people like those problems. Like, we genuinely do. It's, you know, maybe rude to say, but there are people who actively enjoy those situations. Like, they go on the internet to read about times that people had something bad happen to them so they can, you know, feel some of that secondhand rage. We do like rage. It's a bit of a problem we have as a species. Being angry at things probably feels a bit too good for too many people. That's my crazy hot take there. But, oh, that could have fallen in lava, huh? But, yeah, even though we do have this propensity for rage that is, you know, not necessarily ideal. Also, we're going to give the Wither Skeleton some ears. Wither Skeletons do not have ears, but I just think it'll be fun, right? Let's just do the thing that doesn't make sense, because it will look kind of funny if we do. So yeah, we have this propensity towards rage sometimes, and, you know, like, it can feel like it's productive to be angry, like, because so a lot of problems, like, if you're angry enough at someone about them, you'll make that person back down. I really don't like that that's true. I don't ever do it personally. But there are situations where all it takes is, you know, like, when you yell at the right person and they're like, okay, you can have my money and my stuff. That's why we set up systems in the world. You know, like, that's why we have laws and all these things, where it's not about who has the most power, but instead who is in the right that gets to win an event, which is a good system in my opinion. I think the one of my friends once described me as like a what's like a neutral, like a pacifist, because I didn't like the idea of, like, oh yeah, if you have a disagreement with someone at school, you have to fight them for it. He's like, are you just a pacifist? Like, why would you not like fighting? Like, it's if you need to fight, you've got to fight, right? And it's like, well, it's just such a dumb way to... You can't say you've achieved anything after a fight, besides both of you being more hurt than you would be if you didn't. But maybe that's just me, by the way. Maybe I'm the one with the crazy thoughts here. So we got little ears on our Wither Skeleton now. Those should go a real long way, I think. But you know what would go an even longer way? Having a face as well. So the new face is going to be the same rough proportions. So we'll build blocks over here. We'll place gravel. Yeah, I think we have the same proportions, just spread out a bit further. This will go a lot better. So this goes over there, and then these can go over there. So 1, 2. Oh, don't do this to me. Oh, my gravel. Oh, the gravel I placed. So yeah, this is a... I've never been launched up so much by some gas, by the way. Absolutely wild what can happen. By the way, also pro tip, if you're at the end game of Minecraft and you want to get rid of ghasts, bringing a bow is one of the easiest ways. It can be satisfying, especially in the mid-game. Just fly away and then fly back. Or run away if you have to. Donkey away if that's the only solution you have. But let's now see from the top of my my biome that I made on my last stream how this looks right now. I think a lot better. I think it still is arguably a bit smaller than you'd like, but I'm liking how the Wither Skeleton is coming across. Okay, so let's go through here, and let's finish him off. Okay, see, this is a waste of fireworks. This is why you shouldn't trust yourself with them. Let's go in here, and let's build the rest of this skull. So, yeah, we're now going to build the same thing on the other side. Wait, did we do this correctly? We got a bit of gravel missing there, and then we got probably a bit of gravel missing on this side. And so now we try the same thing with 2 wide eye holes, but the 2 wide starts on the edge. Ooh, that might be a bit too far spread out, honestly, but we'll go with it. We'll go with it. And then there's also like a weird forehead scar that these guys have for some reason. I don't know why they have one, but we'll make that out of cobbled deep slate just to provide some more depth to the whole thing, and to make the cobbled deep slate seem more pointful. Or we could use deep slate bricks or even deep slate tiles, right? Yeah, these are a nicer version for that. Just like an extra dark little forehead scar they for some reason have. Are they Harry Potter? I don't know the answer. I don't know the question. But what I do know is, yeah, surround yourself with people who, when something bad happens, don't look to apportion blame, but look to solve problems. Because, you know, like, pointing, like, this is a thing that's happened. You know, there's been a lot of controversy around Starfield this week. Something, you know, like, people were quick to blame people and things about some minor transgression they've had. But instead, it's just like, okay, if you really don't respect this feature, you know what you should do? You should deliberately mess around with it, show how arbitrary it is. Or you know what you should do? You should deliberately ignore the feature, because, you know, like, I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, being angry about things often is not only unproductive, but is actually counterproductive. If I went into the airport and yelled at the person, the Ryanair person, being like, no, give me the flight right now. I see also, oh, he's derpy. And also his head isn't tall enough, right? Wait, one. It's slightly wider than it is tall. We need to fix that. Yeah, we build an extra layer on top of the head, and then I think we're also gonna build 1 arm. I like the idea of later adding whatever arm makes the most sense for the wither skeleton farm. We put coal in it or something. But we'll add an arm to the right side. Man, there's too many of you guys. There are just too many of you. So yeah, I'm gonna beat him to death with a netherite hoe. How much damage does the thing do? Oh, 6 attack damage. Anyone else know how damage? Oh, wow. You get a lot of damage from a hoe. More than you get from a shovel. I used to assume that, like, hoes were super, super low damage. Am I wrong for assuming that? Have I been assuming wrong my entire life? Anyway, so let's now fix up the top of this head, because it's a little bit silly, and we could make it less so. So just move these blocks 1 higher up. So place that there, place this there, and over there. And now we can fix a problem really simply. But yeah, like, you know, yeah, sometimes yelling at people will actively get you in some bad places, right? I mean, you yell at the wrong person, and they're gonna want to not only not help you out, but actively anti-help you. The fun lesson is a lot of people think you only have to be nice to people who have power over you. But, you know, I think a lesson you learn in society is, like, the weird way we distribute power means everyone has a little bit of power over you. You should probably watch out for that. I think this is something, the idea of public relations is something that has come up recently, because I mentioned the idea recently on a stream about, like, yeah, even if you think something you're doing is entirely okay, the truth is, actually no, it was on a video on this channel. I was like, even if you think something is great and you're entirely in the right for doing it, if other people, even if it's in the laws, if other people think it's wrong, they can change the laws and not make it okay. Like, you have to do things the public are okay with. People think that corporations are, oh, so evil, and they're really out to get us all. But ultimately, like, they can never be too evil and too out to get people, because the moment that they do, people start to take away their power. Because ultimately, as a collective, you know, it's the whole thing of, like, if everyone doesn't pay their taxes, then there's no more taxes. If everyone doesn't believe in the idea, oh god, that was messy. If everyone doesn't believe in certain ideas, those ideas don't exist anymore, is kind of true, and is one of the big fears that basically any big organization has, which is why they always have such rigorous complaint procedures, because they really would rather you go through those than whatever the heck else you're probably going to get up to. So, yeah, I think this is actually a decent arm for now. We could build down from here. I'm not looking forward to that idea. Yeah, we could build down and place it, like, onto the Scrabble, but I do like the idea of just having a little nub on both sides, a little bit more, actually. I was thinking leave an arm free, but I want to leave them both free in the sense that I can add arms to them later, but for now he should look like a roughly fully featured wither skeleton. So let's add the arm on this side too. I believe we went 1 block forwards, and enough blocks over the edge to make it clearly look like an arm. And now we can raise the question, which is, how does it look? And the answer, oh, honestly, it looks like the skull should have gone a little bit higher. I think the arms might save it. The arms might bring it in, but I think those legs are a bit too tall for that spine. I guess the spine, or maybe the spine is too tall for the legs. I think the head and the legs are great proportions. Somewhere in between, I think we might have made a mistake though. But I like it. I like it surprisingly much. I like the goofy face, I like the build, and I like the fact that we started making a dent in our gravel. Look at my gravel. I've only got like a third of a shulker box left, which is great. I can now combine that one with this shulker box, freeing one of those up. And I like that we made a decent dent in our cobbled deep slate. That is something that I find to be plenty fun. Do you know what else people think is fun? Subscribing to IBX Toycat. There are many reasons people choose to do this, but here are a few of them. Here, I am a very knowledgeable Minecraft player and have lots of experience in the game. I know lots of obscure facts and trivia about Minecraft, and I am very happy to share my knowledge with my viewers. I am very creative and come up with interesting and unique ideas for Minecraft challenges and experiments. I'm not afraid to try new things, even if they're crazy or impossible. I am funny and entertaining. I have a great sense of humor and always keep my viewers laughing. I'm very down to earth and relatable. I don't take myself too seriously, and I'm always willing to interact with viewers. I am active on social media and interact with my fans regularly. I'm always looking for new ways to connect with my community, which you could consider joining so that you get affected by AI messages like that one. I do think whenever this subject of AI comes up, people do overplay how good it actually is. It's a really good start for things, right? It can do a lot of brute work, just like how a computer can't actually come up with a great business idea, but it could help you with the idea you already have. You might be able to get some great things done with these, but I think if you're looking for a great Minecraft build, you need to take it as loosely as it can, which is why the idea from today is great, and why I recommend, if you are running out of ideas, throw into any AI engine your ingredients that you want to use or your thing you want to get done, and then ask it and see what it does. I think this could be a fun time for next week, so assuming it doesn't look like there's going to be a new update next week, which is a possibility, leave your prompts that I should give to the Google Bard, and I'll try and work on those building challenges in response to it. I think that's a silly idea for a Let's Play, but welcome to the silly channel. I hope that you enjoy your time here. I hope you didn't mind me having an opportunity to rant about what felt like a near-death situation. Again, that's my... I've never seen that you could drive a van up a mountain until that happened to me at 11 PM, and I feel like it's one of those fun situations that I'll think back on fondly later, but right now, this is me sharing just a bad thing that happened, and I hope you enjoyed it, because if so, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Goodbye.